Welcome back to the Sooner Surge, and for the first time in a long time, a full group pod. This time, the first time in person. Another big day of recruiting. Second time in the past week that the Sooners have taken a recruit from Texas. This time, Eugene Brooks, 3-star interior offensive lineman from California, choosing the Sooners over the Texas Longhorns. OU kind of got in late on that recruitment, not offering them until last month after he visited. Then he went and visited Texas. The OU offer came in between the two. So, yeah, 3-star offensive lineman, second offensive lineman this class for Bill Beatonbow. Probably the second of hopefully a few more.
This is definitely a offensive line is a position group that really they haven't had numbers-wise, as far as the others. So I think it's just important to get guys in there in that position group. I know they're pretty young at O-line though.
What is? I know he was recruited by Texas and OU. Last two were top two, but being a 3-star guy, were there any other
he was offered by Georgia and Alabama both, I believe. So a lot of the schools were after the country.
So is he just low? Is he just kind of lower rated? You think for a reason? I mean,
he plays in California at Sierra Canyon. I'm not sure the kind of competition they face.
A lot of it is. It depends on what service you look at.
Yeah.
Rivals
I've seen
has
him
them
as a 4.
Yeah, they have him as a 4, the 12th ranked interior
what I thought.
offensive lineman. The composite rankings, I think, have them at 40. So each side's going to have their own differences on it. It's a lot of that comes down to where did you camp at? What site hosted that camp to give you that rating? So regardless, with Bill Beatonbow, he doesn't need the 5 stars for
I agree.
Offensive, and me in general, this is my point of view. Offensive line.
Well,
it's great to get
talking. I would hope it'd be.
Yeah, you get it, Jay. 5 stars on offensive lineman is not as big of a deal as maybe a receiver, because it seems like offensive linemen are guys you can mold and make kind of exactly what I mean. You put size on it.
Is that your point of view?
Yeah, that is my point of view. Yeah.
Well, I also think that the highest rated recruit that Bill Beatonbow's ever landed was Caden Green.
No,
Gray
Walker.
Yeah.
There's not many 5 stars in each class. There's usually about 1 for interior, 1 for maybe 2 offensive tackles. And Beatonbow, what he's getting in Eugene Brooks is a 6'3", and Brooks on Twitter says he's 6'5", 325-pound lineman that's not going to be expected to start from day one. He's going to have at least 1, probably 2, maybe even 3 years to develop under Coach Beatonbow before he's even thinking about seeing.
Yeah, and the thing is, he's going to need to get in the weight room under Schmitty because he's not really athletic enough to play in the SEC just yet as a true freshman, because he struggles with a little bit of mobility. They line him up at fullback, but you don't see a lot of him pulling across the formation. He's just a straight-on downhill blocker, and he has so much upper body strength and strong hands. That's what helps him dominate so much.
Well, this was in my opinion, looking at the past maybe 5 or 6 guys that they've got in the recruiting trail, this was probably, you could say, one of the most important, because the reason I'm saying that is because they have one lineman committed.
It's just Isaiah Autry.
I'm not saying he's better than Tatum as far as the higher recruit and they needed to get him. I'm just saying for the offensive line, guys that's dwindling on guys out there. If they miss another one,
they
got plenty of guys.
Well, they have a
young.
very good chance with Casey Pelton. It's just hard to beat out Alabama.
Yeah, I know.
That was another one of the visits did not work out in OU's favor there. Wasn't really able to – he never got the true OV to OU for reasons that were –
He did.
No,
it was an unofficial.
It was just an unofficial.
Oh, it was.
Yeah, it was an unofficial in the middle of the week. Yep. So it was like his 5th unofficial. Didn't get the true OV. It's not OU's fault. It's not Casey Post's fault. It's just one of those things that happens every now and then. But really, the offensive line is the one position that you don't have to win on these recruits, because the modern-day transfer portal, there's going to be 3-year starters in the portal every single year.
OU's gotten a couple.
Yeah, like this past season, Walter Rouse.
Yeah.
I mean, he's
the entire guy.
Well, they also got
and those 2 guys might start this year.
While we're on that, let's talk offensive line position group. As we're going to talk about OU's football season here, what are we going to? who are you expecting as the 5 guys starting? Or are you expecting to go 8 or 9 deep?
Well, I
this
mean,
year?
I think there's going to be about 9 guys that they feel confident playing. If I was a betting man, I would say that the starting 5 on the O-line would be Andrew Rain, Savion Byrd, Tyler Guyton, Walter Rouse, and McCade Metoyer. But I do think Caden Green is going to be the 6th guy, and I think there's a very good chance he could be within the top 5 instead of Metoyer.
Do you think has Matour? I say Matour, but anyway, has he made it? I mean, I've read some things where he's had a really good offseason, but I think we all had pretty high expectations last year from him, and it just didn't. It didn't happen.
Well, the thing you heard was when he came from California, we were told he played with nastiness. You didn't see that last year. He struggled with the physicality in the Big 12. Like he did.
And Big 12 is not that physical.
No, he was able to
Last year
get
was more
pushed
physical.
around. So this offseason, he can't get that term Schmitty built.
He honestly,
physically up to par.
the reports of the jumps he has made shouldn't be surprising because now this is the second offseason with Bill Bedenbaugh. This is what Bedenbaugh does. He gets his guys in his system, kind of learning the ropes, and then after a couple years of that, they turn into superstar talents on the offensive line that are going to go make a lot of money in the NFL. So obviously hope that's the path for McCade, but really, I guess we're just going to see.
Well, but you didn't mention to me. I think a definite starter is going to be Rouse.
I said
He did say
Oh,
that.
did you say him? Okay, I was like,
I'm listening
I didn't
to
hear it. Okay, my bad. I was like, because I think he's a for sure.
And Brody mentioned Caden Green as that 6th option. That really shows how good Caden Green is already.
He's the best offensive lineman they have, in your opinion.
It's
Is that
Tyler
even a
Guyton.
question?
I think it's
Tyler
Tyler
Guyton.
Guyton. I'm just seeing
Tyler
it.
Guyton.
I don't know, but Savion Byrd
Savion Bird's up there.
is 1B then.
No.
I wouldn't call it B. I would say he's up there. Tyler Guyton is the hands down best offensive
Bill
lineman
Bedenbaugh
on the
called
team.
him the most talented player he's ever coached.
Yeah.
How good can Guyton be compared to guys like Trent Williams, Lane
He
Johnson?
could be the best one.
Yes, he could be
I mean,
maybe the best offensive tackle ever if Bill Bedenbaugh's calling him the
At
best.
I don't know
OU,
about
you can
that.
add OU.
Yes.
He's going to be.
It'd be hard to pass Trent Williams, I think.
Well,
You think
Bedenbaugh
definite
didn't-
first-round pick?
Well,
Definite first-round pick?
It's just you don't really see offensive linemen going in the first round very often,
Oh.
especially.
Yes, you do.
Offensive linemen go in the first round all the time,
What
bro.
are you talking
The
about?
Bears traded down just
Oh,
to
yeah.
take an offensive lineman 10th.
Have you watched the draft lately?
No.
No, Tyler Guyton. We ran into him at the spring game. Massive.
Yeah.
He is going to be a first-round pick for Bedenbaugh. Bedenbaugh has said it earlier this spring that the potential with Guyton, one more year with Bedenbaugh, he's going to be a first-round pick this year.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's 6 guys that was mentioned, Brody. You said you think they go 9 deep. Who are the other guys?
You got Jake Taylor. He was a freshman last year.
Jacob Sexton.
Sexton, if he's
Sexton,
healthy.
if he's healthy, will be in the
The
mix.
question mark is
Transfer
his
Troy
health.
Everett. I think he'll kind of be the backup guy.
And
instead
then
of Caleb
there's
Schaefer.
That's what I was gonna say.
Caleb Schaefer's another transfer. Yeah.
Schaefer's a guy that has experience, not at the Power 5
He's
level.
massive too.
But yeah, he's a big guy.
human.
He's a big guy, has experience, not at Power 5 level, but at college football level. He played for multiple years at Miami and Ohio.
Yeah.
So definitely one that you could see on the field this year.
Wasn't Caleb Schaefer first team on MAC?
I believe he was.
That might
Something
have
like that.
Well, Matower, like we talked about earlier, he's coming from a totally different offense too. That's another thing when you come into a new team, trying to learn the offense and the coaching style. So I think he will be a lot better. I just don't know if he'll start. I still kind of leery on it.
Who do you think's going to start over him?
In that position, I don't know. I mean, there's like you said, any of those guys I think could possibly start over, but Matower could be the guy. I don't know. I haven't watched-
If you look back at Bill Bedenbaugh and the way he chooses O linemen at the start of the year, I mean, I think he started Jonathan Alvarez over Creed Humphrey.
It's a veteran.
He's going to go with the veteran more. That's why I wouldn't put Kane Green in there, but I think he'll be 6.
And the O-line did struggle at times a lot last year, but I think that also is due to new system, things like that. As well, I know Bedenbaugh wasn't new, but the offensive itself, the scheme was different. So I think some of those guys had to get used to that.
In the Cheez-It Bowl, they started Robert Conjal, Savion Byrd, Aaron Parks, because Jacob Sexton only played a couple plays, Savion Byrd and Tyler Guyton. And Javante Barnes and Gavin Sarchuk had a field day against a D-line that had someone who could easily
That
be a
was the
first-round pick.
Jared
most
Verse-
talented defensive line OU played all season.
And Jared Verse is maybe going to be a first round pick this next year. And Tyler Guyton really had his way with Jared Verse in that game the majority of
That's
Okay,
another
now
thing that speaks to how good God can be.
While we're on the Sawchuck Barnes thing, there's a lot. I don't know. You guys probably read a lot of the speculation that this year OU's gonna be very run heavy. Have you guys seen any of those?
I mean,
Kind of
that's
that's
speculation. That's expected.
With Levy, I mean,
They weren't that run heavy last year.
They ran almost 60% of the time last year. I don't think people
Probably should have
realize-
ran about 70% of the time last year.
Eric Gray had a ton of carries all year long. Like,
You got the two-headed monster this year, so
Yeah, and then third string is, I think, Caleb Hicks is going to be the guy there.
Well, there's a guy that's always forgot about him, Marcus Major.
Well,
I didn't forget
agree.
about.
I don't forget about him.
I didn't forget about him.
he'll be the third string Friday night before the game. You know.
will you go grab the poster out of your room real quick? And show
hey,
it?
Marcus Major, you got to. We all watched the game. Was it against Kent State last year?
It's Kent State.
That's the whole point.
No, I'm saying when he made that unbelievable
great
cut,
cut,
everyone was
dude.
like, "This dude is." And he's had bad breaks with no pun intended there, but breaks with injuries and things like that.
He's a practice All-American, that's for sure.
He is a practice All-American.
Well,
Or actually, he's the practice Adrian Peterson.
Yeah, so I think Caleb Hicks will be third. Behind.
Smothers had a pretty good spring game too.
Yeah, he'll be up there, but he's got.
I think that Caleb Hicks is just such an all-around balanced guy.
and he's a little bit more ready.
What about
Yeah.
Tall Wee? Where's he
Yeah.
going in there?
He's
probably
goalie.
not seeing.
Hey, and you
You
guys
can
aren't
use that
mentioning.
guy on the goal line and you'll score 9.
You guys aren't mentioning some things that I think could really happen this year. Guys like Brennan Thompson,
He's a
Rodino Petaway.
Yeah.
There's some guys that are
Speed.
so speed that they'll get him in the back.
Oh, yeah, they use Farouk in the back.
Stoops was in the back.
Well,
Stoops was in the back.
And I could see that specific play with the Stoops where they kind of run him on that reverse. I could see that more specifically for guys like Thompson or Petaway for sure.
Anthony,
yeah.
Gavin Freeman.
Here's a question about running backs. I think Barnes and Sawchuck, how good of a duo do we think they can be compared to other running back duos in the past?
In OU,
Samaj Piran and Joe Mixon.
I would think the
That's
P-Ryan
what
and
I'm
Nixon
saying.
are probably the top. I mean, then you could say, I don't know if you guys will remember, Gerald Moore and James Allen together, they called them Thunder and Lightning.
Yeah, that was a good one. But
I mean, Barnes and Sawchuck, that's all you need in the backfield. Really, like those two guys, they can stay healthy. We know Barnes has a ton of potential. He flashed late in the year, and you couldn't keep him off the field essentially, except for Eric Gray was being so good.
I think Sawchuck's better out of the backfield
Catching the ball,
than
yes.
Barnes.
He'll be the passing down running back. I think we can all assume that. And then goal line, you probably go with
Hey,
Barnes.
and something that went unnoticed, really Major did it well, but Gray's transition from his first year at Oklahoma to his next one, his pass protection last year was very good.
Yes.
And we got to see if those guys can do that.
That's a
and
big
also
thing for
his
DeMarco.
ability, yeah, and also his ability to run routes out of the backfield. And a lot of people talk about can they both reach 1,000 yards? I think that's a realistic goal,
so.
but the thing is, can Oklahoma's offensive line stay healthy and consistent enough?
Yeah, and I have asked a question for y'all is, we didn't see it a whole lot last year, but are we going to see Barnes and Sawchuck a two-back set more often this year? Because even last year with Gray, you didn't
I
see
wish.
Gray and Barnes in there very much together.
Maybe they'll do it
Um,
because it makes more sense with Barnes and Sawchuck. You have a pass catching running back, and I mean they did have that last year. I'd say Gray's a pretty good running back out of the
Yeah, but they
backfield.
never
Levy
really
doesn't
put-
seem
they
to
never
do
really
that.
put
I don't
much
think
with
he'll
it.
do that.
Levy does not do that much as Riley did.
Again, this year is the first time we're going to see, besides that Florida State game, Sawchuck and Barnes in the same backfield
Yeah.
for especially a whole
Yeah.
season. It could definitely happen. It
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah, I would doubt that Levy would not have us package with that.
I mean,
because
just an
he's pretty
option package,
Yeah.
like on it, either swinging it out on the screen or read option with Dylan Gabriel or someone else in there. Like, you got to think that that's certainly talked about.
Well,
right now.
and speaking off what you just said, Oklahoma will be more comfortable this year being able to use Dylan Gabriel's legs because they actually have a backup quarterback in Jackson Arnold and the guy who's extremely talented.
And that's going to play into it as well. I feel like they're going to just let Gabriel be a little bit more free, let him run more, which should open up a lot more for the offense because you're not worried about DG going down and you got to bring in Davis Bevel, which no hate to Davis Bevel. We know he's been winning in the offseason. But, like,
But how good? A question for you: how good of a runner is it?
I mean, we
I
didn't
mean,
see that much of it.
Jay,
last year.
I remember Josh Heupel. I think he's very similar to Josh
Well,
Heupel.
Josh Heupel didn't run at all.
I know it was
I don't.
against
You know what I
Nebraska.
mean by that?
I know.
He scrambled.
Yes,
That's
I
what
think
Baker Mayfield did. He scrambled and make plays, but we didn't see
Gabriel
that.
can run a little bit.
I don't think Gabriel's the best running quarterback on the team. That's just.
Oh no,
Well,
I'd say
no,
Jackson
Arnold's better.
But I mean, I know.
And
it
I
was
think there's
against-
going to be a package for Arnold.
Yes, I agree. I know it was against Nebraska, but the 66 or whatever yard touchdown run, it was a pretty impressive run. But I think just letting him be a little bit more free, and in the Florida State game, he looked a little bit more free and
He had that edge.
he had a little bit more of a swagger to him that I expected we were going to see the whole time. But honestly,
Well,
didn't.
like he had something to play for in that game.
Yes, he
I've
did.
been on the criticism of Dylan Gabriel, but I actually expect a monster year out of him, honestly. But I will say that they're going to have a package for Jackson Arnold.
Well,
I agree.
isn't he like 3,700 yards away from being the all-time leader in college?
Something
Yeah,
like
he's
that.
played for like 6
Wait,
years. It's
wait.
been a
When
long
you
time.
say a package for Jackson Arnold, are you talking about?
I don't just.
Are you talking about because he's going to have the same package as Dylan Gabriel as far as
Right.
play? Are you
No,
saying they're going
no,
to have a package
no,
where they
package.
bring him in during the game?
Yeah,
Yes,
Well,
that's
remember
what
how
I mean.
Chandler Morris? There was a package for Chandler Morris.
That was under Lincoln Riley.
But-
Yeah.
Okay, I know it's a different coach, but
I just don't know.
kind of.
Listen,
You're
you're not.
thinking that.
Who's starting QB next year?
Dylan Gabriel.
Dylan Gabriel.
Next year?
Oh, next year,
oh,
Jackson Arnold.
Jackson.
Okay, you're not just going to have Jackson
Going to
Arnold
the SEC.
go into the SEC with zero experience, zero game time experience.
So
playing
you're
uniform.
telling me that
And
Jackson
let me
Arnold's
say
gonna
what I
start?
mean by package.
I'm not saying he's going to start. I'm saying they're going to find a way to get him into the game in a little bit of meaningful situations. That way he can at least get game time.
Here's what I mean by package, Jay. I think they're going to use him in a package where he runs the ball pretty early in the year. And when they get to big games, he's going to pull the ball out and throw the ball. He's going to make people. It's going to look like it's a running. I can
You might
see
be
that.
right. I mean,
That's
I mean,
not
well-
wrong because that's just a way to get him in the
It,
game.
it gives the other team something to
Yes,
look
yes,
at.
it
Prepare
gives-
It
for.
keeps the
something
defense
different.
on their
Well,
toes because
Jeremy-
it's not just Dylan Gabriel you're preparing for. At that point, it's this Jackson Arnold
And-
package that
Well,
can come in
as
at
Jeremy
any time.
just
Caleb, they
said,
had it with Caleb.
Well,
Williams.
even last year on a smaller scale, West Virginia, their backup quarterback was a way more
Green. It was Green.
It's
Yeah,
Jerry
that dude
Green.
cooked you because they
Yeah,
weren't
yeah,
prepared
yeah,
for Green.
Well, and you talk about in the spring game. I know the spring game doesn't mean much. Oklahoma early in the game they ran Jackson Arnold a couple of times, and then what did they do in that fourth quarter when he was comfortable? You saw what that throw to Gavin Freeman in the spring game across the middle. That was an NFL level throw. So the dude has all the arm talent, and I think,
You know that.
and I think if he is in the game, we'll see him take a few shots.
Yeah.
I don't feel.
Speaking of true freshmen, I got a question for everyone, but we can start with Jeremy. Who do you think the 3 starting wide receivers are going to be on September 2nd?
Farouk, Drake Stoops, and my third is going. Gavin Freeman, from what I've
they're
heard,
not
is
going to
making-
go with.
they're not going to go Freeman and
No
Stoops.
way.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Before I mention who my guy's going to be as far as a third guy, they can't stop talking about Gavin Freeman. If you've heard him,
Yeah.
I think it's going to be Nick Anderson or
Drake
Anthony.
Stoops raved about Gavin
Yeah.
Freeman.
Nick Anderson or Anthony's my third
All right,
guy.
we said 3, so which one?
I'm going to go Nick Anderson.
Okay.
And
Jackson.
Gibson, guys, don't count Gibson out either.
Oh, you're just naming the whole wide receiver core.
Exactly.
Jackson, who do you say?
I got Farouk Stoops and and Jaquez Petaway, baby. Week 1, true freshman Jaquez Petaway.
Trevor?
I got it. I'll go. I agree. We can have Stoops, Farouk, and then I'll go Andrew Anthony.
All right.
It's here, Jay.
I'll go
Brody?
because y'all know how it's going to be.
I know who he's throwing
Farouk,
out.
Stoops, and Petaway.
I'll go Farouk, Stoops, and I'm going to go Gibson. I think Gibson, I think he's had a real, I've read some great things about him in the offseason.
Catch the ball. That's
Everyone has a great
And
offseason.
here's the thing, another guy we haven't mentioned is DJ Green. But I'm going to say Gibson.
I'm going to go same as Brody. Farouk, Stoops, Petaway.
Same,
You don't have a freshman wide receiver that's not an early enrollee in this era where you can enroll early, be talked about as much as Jaquez Petaway unless he's going to play.
So how deep are they going to go there? Because there's guys that are not going to be okay probably being 9th or 10th guys. They're not going to stay around.
Well,
Six or 7 deep.
6 or 7 deep.
You think they're going to play 6 or 7 every game?
Yeah.
I could see them this year, because we all know last year that was probably all of ours and a lot of the people watching this and OU fans' biggest complaint is they didn't play a whole lot of youngsters, especially at receivers. Levy didn't really sub in a whole lot. Now, there were some games they tried to do it with Gibson and like a package type deal, but I could see it more this year as first few series you have your starters, and then maybe 2 series in a row, you pull 3 new guys out there. I can totally see
But
that.
What's the talk been on? I've heard nothing on Nick Anderson.
He's had a good offseason. I've heard that. He stayed healthy. He's had a good offseason.
Well, and here's the thing that you're not going to – everything you hear right now, it's not fall camp. Once it's fall camp, then you can – the things you hear have a little bit – and even then, you got to see it in a game first. But everything you hear then will have a little bit more credibility in a way. But I want to talk about Jaden Gibson because here's the thing. Everyone wants to talk about, oh, he can't catch. Imagine how we would be sitting here talking about Jaden Gibson right now had he caught the pass that was a little bit of a bad throw, but it hit his hands from DG, or he catches the 2-point conversion from Jackson Arnold. If he catches those 2 passes and he has a touchdown and the 2-point conversion,
he's the third guy.
We all would have said Jaden Gibson starting out.
It's not just that. He had a few opportunities in the regular season, specifically against TCU, and he dropped the ball 2 times.
Yes,
but
TCU.
There's one thing you can't argue with. Jaden Gibson can get open.
Yeah, he can.
Way more maybe than
here's
other
the deal,
guys.
and something I read, I don't know where it was online, but Emmett Jones and him. What's so fun about that?
Something I read.
I read it online.
You said this every single
Hey, that's
time.
fine, but I read it. But Emmett Jones has really helped James, just like he would. He's a great receiver coach. I'm just saying. Last year, I'm not
Are
saying
you
anything
questioning
bad about-
Washington?
Well, as a receiver coach, I don't think he had the. Obviously, he does not have the experience that Emmett Jones has.
I agree.
So it's a
They
big time
struggled
difference.
to get open in one-on-one coverage. They could not create very much separation. That's why Dylan Gabriel relied so much on Marvin Mims to just chuck it down the field.
I mean, there might have been other reasons.
Emmett Jones is one of, if not the best wide receiver coach out there. So I'm not going to.
Did he land Jaron Bradley?
Well, that's the difference.
Well, Jay's hair.
I don't know, but look at the 2 guys. The 2 hires of Emmett Jones and DeMarco Murray right now. Are you kidding?
Not even just them. Todd Bates.
Yeah, Todd
Bates.
Well, we're
But
talking about Todd Bates. What about Miguel Chavis, who's debatably been the best recruiter so far?
guys,
And
if
we
this
have a-
power line, if this power line that Todd Bates is maybe going to be bringing together comes into fruition,
It's going to make people like him who are Todd Bates haters look just.
Oh my gosh, here we
Yeah.
go. And you know what? I'm glad you brought that up actually, because this frustrates me like no other when I see people, you two especially, over here bashing me every time on text. Oh, well, Jason, what do you have to say after they got Jaden Jackson to commit? Jason, what do you have to say about Todd Bates now? Well, I've never said Todd Bates is a bad recruiter. I asked you one question. My only question to you was if they do not land David Stone.
Well, you started.
It
started with Hicks last year.
Yeah, you're like he didn't land Hicks, so like is it time
Well,
to start?
we also
No.
got to take into consideration he didn't live up to his dream of David Hicks and David Stone reclassing into the class.
listen,
Same
all
day.
I-
Hold
Just
on.
going
Was
to
it
happen.
Todd Bates' fault that he didn't like David Hicks, or was it money?
That's nobody's. I'm not saying it was anybody's fault.
Exactly.
He's
I'm
just
all I'm
saying
saying
he
is
didn't
until
land
he
his guy.
landed the big guy, what can you say?
But how are you going to get mad at
I'm
someone
not
when
mad.
you just sit here and say if he doesn't
Hey,
land David
And
Stone?
not very many people, especially you, do you even know that OU is leading for Dominic McKinley as another 5-star interior defensive lineman? That Todd Bates is at the head of his recruiting
Jackson, I could give a flip about the recruiting and who's leading because it doesn't matter until they sign their letter of intent, personally. But I know y'all are different. Y'all are younger. These little young pups coming here and think they know everything about recruiting, which y'all do know a lot more than me and most people. But what I'm saying is I've never said Todd Bates can't recruit. I've never said Todd Bates isn't a good coach. All I've said is let's see after this year if he can land his guys because this is a huge class for him going to the SEC. And it's looking good so far.
Okay,
and I
it's
hope
not.
maybe we move on to recruiting talk and talk about some of the defensive line.
And
I don't know.
And speaking up on what you just said, I have a question for everyone. Is Oklahoma ready for the SEC?
Absolutely.
I think I'll wait and see time to this class.
They better be ready. They're going there.
They're ready
Yeah,
for this.
with the way things are trending right now in the recruiting world.
Yes,
I just say, guys, he's looking at putting 2 top 5 classes
Yeah,
together
exactly.
in a row. Come
on
on.
and
Hasn't
off,
been done.
on and
Looking
off
like
the
he's
field.
going
They're
to.
ready.
What I'm saying is Bob Stoops did Bob Stoops have 2 top 5 classes in any of his years?
Yeah, 03 and 04 were his 2, I think.
So those were the last 2. That's a long time.
But here's the thing: this class isn't just going to be top 5. We're looking at it's not going to be better than Georgia. We're looking at the next best class besides Georgia with this year. I mean, there's a very real shot that they land 3 5-stars on the defensive line, which is just going to put Todd Bates haters to rest.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
We
for sure.
started this whole thing on Emmett Jones and DeMarco Murray, and on other schools, the class they have put together so far would be hands down the best class for a single position group. And you're looking at them on OU right now. they're probably going to finish second and third behind Todd Bates and Miguel Chavis because this defensive line class really has the potential to be that good. DeMarco Murray landed his first 5-star this past week, Taylor Tatum over USC. And still in the running for another top 10 running back and Caden Durham, who will make his decision August
and the
25th.
thing,
Next, Robinson,
Yeah,
too.
and then Xavier Robinson's already committed, best running back in the state of Oklahoma.
and now that they've landed Taylor Tatum, Caden Durham isn't a necessity. I've heard this a lot. It's like Caden Durham is like
A necessity, but it's definitely one they're after.
He's the
But
fastest
yes,
player in the
yes,
country.
So let me ask-
no, but I'm saying that if you don't land him, it's not the end of the world because they have Taylor Tatum.
He's a stud. But let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. You probably know the answer, guys.
Let me ask you.
He's committing on August 25th. Any schedule for an LSU visit right after that? I believe he had an LSU visit scheduled for the 28th or something.
I
So,
feel like
Does
you're
that mean he would commit to LSU and go to LSU, or is he going to cancel that visit? I'm just asking questions, guys.
Maybe move the visit up. I don't know.
Maybe move the visit. I may be
Whether
wrong.
or not
I may be
anything's a
totally wrong.
necessity, though,
I may be
Caden
wrong.
Durham is the guy you want to get. I mean,
Yeah,
Caden Durham by far is the guy you want. I
He's
don't,
the fastest running back in the nation, is he
He
not?
doesn't have any visits scheduled.
Okay, so I was wrong.
he's probably the fastest player overall in the
yeah,
country.
you definitely want Caden Durham.
Finishing first, second, all that in Texas track last year. I think he was behind Jacquez Bedaway at one point.
He was ahead of him.
Okay, it was ahead of him. So
And
those two are the
speaking
top
of
two.
on that, Oklahoma
Six,
could potentially have the two fastest players in the country, Caden Durham and Zion Rabbits. Like that's
And
crazy.
Jacquez Pedaway.
And
The
Jacquez
speed
Pedaway.
that
Brennan Thompson.
Brennan Thompson,
Uh,
Gavin Sawchuk,
I mean,
Jim
the
Trevor.
speed is a big.
I'm surprised they're not getting sent over to a track program just across the street.
Hey, they could have a
So,
4x4 Olympic team at this point.
Yeah, it's an impressive group of speedsters they're putting together.
And Tatum's not slow.
No, he's not.
Well, let's think of the schedule here, guys. What is the most intriguing matchup this year for you guys?
Gotta be Texas.
Yeah.
Texas guy.
I mean, that one's intriguing every year, though.
Not last
More
year.
so this year.
Not last year.
But Oklahoma
Texas is going
needs
to
it.
open up as a favorite. Do you guys agree?
Well,
They're already the favorite.
In my-
They're a 7-point favorite.
When Texas rolls out of bed, they're the favorite.
especially in the
Not even tell you
offseason.
They're the favorite every year in the Big 12.
Big 12.
Well, but here's the
Not
thing.
necessarily, guys.
There's
They've
a-
been the favorite plenty of years.
There's a chance that Texas could be going into that matchup the number one team in the country.
Exactly.
All
That's
they
a
have
real
to do,
possibility.
all they
They
have to do
have
is
to beat
beat
Bama.
Bama
That's-
and then win their other cakewalk of scheduled games.
To
And
say
they're
all
gonna-
they have to do is beat Bama, it's a big task.
It
It's
is
in-
a big task.
It's
but
in Alabama.
But Alabama doesn't
they-
have a quarterback.
They lost to the number one overall pick, the number one and number two overall pick last year by 1 point. at home.
with Quinn Ewers essentially not playing.
I think it was Hudson Card.
Hudson
Hey,
Card.
there's-
Well, and Quinn Ewers had the game of his life.
Well,
I
Texas.
hope Texas is the favorite.
I hope they beat Bama and they're the number one team.
I do too.
Guys,
honestly.
I'm going to say it. Texas is almost back. I think they're on their way back. I do. I think they are getting.
That's not a-
Okay, look,
It's not
I'm
a
not
huge
laughing
statement,
at you
Jay.
saying you're wrong, but the thing that's going to change about Texas still is the culture. Steve Sarkisian doesn't have the best culture. There's a lot of talent, but there's a reason why Texas isn't developing.
And I'm not
Guys,
saying they're
our-
back.
our-
I'm just saying they are trending. If you look at their talent pool from what they've
They've
had,
always been talented.
yeah, but they're a lot more talented than they've been.
Well,
No,
They
do agree.
always have debatably more talent than Oklahoma.
I mean, they
has on
should
paper.
be a top 5 team in the preseason polls, according to how much everyone's just glowing at the roster that they have. Everyone they return. The one question mark with them is the defense. They lost quite a
Yeah,
few key
that is-
I
pieces.
still think the
And-
question mark's quarterback.
Yeah,
I can agree with
I
that
think
too.
their
But
best QB is going to be third string.
on the defensive side of the ball, they lost probably the most important coach on the entire staff
Gary
last
Patterson.
year. Gary Patterson turned Texas from a mediocre defense into a pretty good defense last
And
year.
they showed
Single-handedly, he is one of the reasons they were in that as played as well as they did against Bama.
Hey,
And
guys,
against TCU,
and
they
against
lost by one
TCU.
possession. Then.
guys, there's two things that OU fans have nightmares about. It's anything in purple and Gary Patterson. I mean,
Actually, the
the-
only
the-
thing I have
yeah, the Wildcats and the
Yeah.
K-State Wildcats own OU. And
I don't
the
think-
other thing
Okay, hold on. The only
I'm
thing
talking
I'm
about Gary Patterson, who's at TCU. Gary Patterson knew how to play with OU. You can't argue that.
almost everyone.
Lincoln Riley.
No,
Lincoln Riley kind of owned Gary.
Yeah,
Did he not?
Lincoln Riley cooked.
I remember Big 12 title game. Lincoln just smoked.
It was like
Okay, I'm just saying Gary
You
Patterson.
know, that was a team that should have won the national
You know what Lincoln
championship.
didn't
that
smoke,
year.
though?
His brisket, not very well anyway.
Hey, Arch Manning signed an NIL deal today.
Oh yeah.
And Steve Sarkisian
my
said he wasn't
mentions
going
are
to.
getting blown up right now because it's for charity. So I guess
not
that's
Signed an
actually-
NIL deal for charity.
Yeah, so I guess that's acceptable that he kind of went back on what he said. Wasn't going to sign an NIL deal until we started, but since it's for charity, that's okay. I was made aware of that today after posting the headline from Bleacher Report that Steve Sarkisian says he will not sign an NIL deal until we start.
Percentage
So he's starting
chance.
in Texas.
Percentage chance Archie Manning starts.
0.
Yeah, he's not starting. He's redshirt.
What about other than Texas? What game on that schedule to you?
TCU on Black Friday. I mean,
I personally, I think TCU is going to be down this year.
Yeah,
but they still are going to be a good
I
team.
don't think
I
that's
would fear
OU's best
the
home game.
BYU game, road game. I fear more than that. TCU.
Okay, let's go to home games.
Home game.
Look, the game
The
on the
best
schedule.
They have a pretty weak home
It's
schedule.
awful.
It is weak, but I think the best one is actually the non-conference one, SMU.
SMU.
SMU is a solid team, really good secondary. Brian Massey, one of the best defensive backs in the country, brought in Kamar Wheaton this year, running
They
back,
also
five-star
brought
running
in-
back from Bama.
It's going to be
They
a
also
good test
brought in
early. I
LJ
agree.
Johnson from Texas A&M.
Yeah, they
Two great running
Who's the
backs.
TCU wide receiver that went there, right?
Jordan Hudson.
yeah.
Right?
Hey,
They brought in 2 5-stars. in the
There's
Wasn't
two-
Jordan Hudson committed to OU at a point? Or
Yes.
Riley too?
there's two things you're going to get in that game. OU's defense is going to get a test. That game. We're going to see how good OU's defense is against SMU that game because they're better than a lot of teams are going to play in conference. And you're going to be able to see some wide receivers if they can get open on
Who's going to get a test? It's Dylan
against an
Gabriel.
NFL guy.
Well,
Dylan
I don't-
Gabriel is going to get a test. I talked with Brian Massey back first week in June at the camp I was at, and I asked him about how do you prepare for 86,000 fans screaming. You're playing at SMU, small stadium, very non-rowdy crowd, and going to the Palace on the Prairie, it's going to be a loud crowd. And Massey's like, it's just another game. They're going to run their defense the same way. He's the defensive captain. They're going to give Dylan Gabriel some problems. They've talked about it already, that they're prepared for that matchup.
Right.
I believe that I saw somewhere that they had a top 5 rated secondary in the country that I read.
I don't know about that high, but
That's
it
pretty
is.
top
high.
5 or top 10.
It's a good secondary
And
for a
also,
non-Power 5 school, for
SMU
sure.
has a very talented young quarterback in Preston Stono. He's their highest rated commit ever. He's a pretty highly 4-star talented guy. And they lost Tanner Mordecai, which could go understated depending on how SMU plays this year. Because Tanner Mordecai has a chance to turn that Wisconsin offense around this year.
Him and all the 6 other QBs.
Yeah, is he starting there? or-
Yeah, he is.
He'll start.
Okay.
I'm
So,
pretty sure Luke
But
Fickell
this
said that.
schedule to me, just looking at the whole schedule,
There's no
It's-
way.
well, I'm not saying that. I'm saying as far as the way the schedule sets up, it sets up really good. I like the way, last year I didn't really like it because they kind of had the cakewalk of the non-conference, ending with Nebraska there in your first game, K-State, in the Big 12. I didn't like that. Obviously K-State, you know how they are against OU. So I think this year it sets up really well. I mean,
The one game that is going to be Dylan Gabriel's legacy game is going to be the UCF.
UCF. That's one of the games.
They actually could be a shockingly good team.
It
They have a really
doesn't-
good defensive
They're
line.
not going to be Dylan.
DG is going to turn into prime,
they have a good coach.
whatever you want to say.
Gus Malzahn's really good.
Yeah.
Prime Baker Mayfield in that game.
UCF for sure is probably the best team to come into the conference of the 4 teams.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Cincinnati.
And no,
they lost Luke Fickell.
I'm saying coming in, I think they
do have talent.
They have
Hold
talent.
on.
Cincinnati's
So,
got-
don't forget about. Don't forget about Houston. They got
David
David
Igwe.
Igwebu and Latrell McCutcheon, 2 players who could give any team.
Well, how many yards do we think LaShawn McCutcheon is going to give up against Texas? Oh, we'll go over under 225.
That's pretty much.
I'm not-
Xavier Worthy might set the single game receiving record.
Yes.
You better hope that's a
Honestly.
price.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a Taco Tuesday if you do it early in the week. Guys, get it discounted.
Come on.
That's
Hey,
what you wanna
TU
do.
here in our backyard. TU's going to be way better than they were last year.
They were great today at the media day. They picked 11 out of 14.
Tulsa is one of the most.
They were awful last year.
Tulsa is one of the most underrated teams in the country, in my opinion.
Underrated in the country.
Well, you
Tulsa
can't.
is a really good team.
Well,
They have
you don't
a lot
know-
of talent.
Well, you don't
He's
know
got
that
a brand new coach.
They got a great.
So
Just
They're
Jackson.
a really good team.
We don't know. What
I said they're
gonna
really
be.
underrated.
Jackson, if you want to say TU is going to be way better than last year, I 100% agree with you. Kevin Wilson has made great hires, and they've got great players coming in from other schools too.
No, they got in a really good transfer class.
I said that.
They're building something special, but right now they are not there.
We can't call them a really good team.
I mean, Kevin Wilson's going to do great things at TU, and he's going to retire there, in my opinion. I think that's going to be – he's going to ride it out here. He's going to love every minute of it there, I think. You know?
Where else would he go?
If he does really good, he'd go to a Power 5 school.
Yeah, he'd get a bigger job. I mean, would you turn that
My
down
opinion
to
is
stay
I
at
think
TU?
do what?
Would you turn down a Power 5 job to stay at TU?
Probably not. But, guys, the future of Power
He has
5
no
and all
ties
that.
to TU at all.
Hey,
What if TU becomes a Power 5 school? I mean, who knows? Come on. They could
Hey.
go to the Pac-12.
guys, 5 years from now, we're
Yeah.
not going to be talking Power 5. We're talking about 3 conferences. That's it. Seriously.
Yeah.
So
He's right.
I'm not wrong on that.
So there's gonna be 3 conferences, and everyone else is just gonna be an independent.
I'm not going to say what I mean. We could have that argument what the bowl future is going to look like and what college football is going to look like. But I see 3 power conferences where the playoffs come out of those 3 conferences, and then all the other schools have their own. That's kind of what I see. That's a topic for another day.
It is a topic for another day.
That just depends on media companies if they're going to roll with that or not.
Does OU win the Big 12 this year?
I think OU wins the Big 12.
They should. They
Them
absolutely
or-
Who do they play?
Texas.
I say Texas.
My money's on Texas.
I say
say-
OU Texas.
I say
I
Texas.
say Texas.
I say K-State.
We was on Instagram Live, or not Instagram Live,
YouTube
Live the other night.
Everyone
and
said
everyone said Texas Tech.
No, Jackson
I
said
No,
Texas.
I'm not
No.
just talking about
Oh, the viewers?
the
No.
viewers. I mean,
But multiple people, no one
Heather
said
Dennis picked Tech.
You and I both picked K-State, but I've gone to the Texas side.
like that's it.
I
Okay, I
changed
see what you're
Texas.
trying to do, but
No, Tech.
Texas Tech under Joe McGuire is going to be a
They
fun
are gonna
team
be
to
a good
watch.
team.
so that's
They're going to run the
Texas
Big
is-
12 when
they're
OU
gonna
Texas
be-
league. Them and K-State are
they
gonna
already run the conference, if you ask Joe McGuire. Big 12 runs through Lubbock, I guess. But
Yeah.
on a real note, Texas, I think they're going to have a good start. I do think they'll pull off that upset early on.
Really? You're picking them to beat Bama?
As of right now, yes.
Uh,
What's the
I
quarterback,
agree, too.
what's the
No
quarterback
way.
situation at Alabama?
Nice.
if they start Tyler Buchner, that game's
Tyler
over.
Yeah.
Buchner, yeah.
What's
don't
the-
even care to say
what's the quarterback situation there?
It doesn't matter.
I mean,
But
Obviously,
what is it?
obviously, like it does matter which QB a team starts. That you
I
can't
don't
say that.
think.
doesn't
I
matter.
think they're going to be. I think Bama is coming off a year where I think they're kind of pissed about
Hold
being
on.
behind Georgia
Hey,
the last 2 years.
How come you
Hey.
whispered that? You're like kind of.
Well, I didn't know who
Hey,
was around
hey, I
in
guarantee
his
you,
house. I didn't know who
Nick
was going there.
Saban is so pissed off this year that they're going to run the schedule and go in.
I think
Nick
they're-
Saban's not starting at QB.
Okay, but listen,
Well, that's a good
you
thing
have
there,
to
Brody.
be. You have to, I cannot believe you guys. You two especially.
Oh,
After all Texas has not done and not being back, and you're picking them to beat Alabama.
On the
I
road.
am too.
First of
Based
all,
off what?
first
Based
of
off
all-
what?
First of all,
you
you
said
said let me
Texas
finish
is
that.
Based off
you
what?
said Texas is
Tell,
back.
I want Hunter to sit here and tell me why he's picking Texas to beat Alabama on the road.
They lost by 1 point to a former Heisman winner and number 1 overall pick and number 2.
So we're going back last year's game.
Texas didn't have their
Texas
QB in
didn't
that game.
lose as much as Alabama lost. Bama's quarterback situation is the worst it has been in a long time. I can't remember a time when their quarterback situation was.
Why?
They're gonna run.
Why?
Maybe
Why?
maybe
Who's
with
gonna-
wait,
Jake
Coker?
Sims.
Was it-
Wait,
Sims?
wait,
No,
wait,
Jake
no, Jake Cooker or
Yeah,
something
yeah.
like
Who's
that?
going to start?
Coker.
Yeah,
Jake, that's the
I
whole
don't know.
point.
That's
No
what
one
I'm
knew.
Give me 2 names.
They got
Tyler
Milrow.
Milrow.
Buchner, what was he, a 5-star? Or 4?
Ty Simpson's going to start at Alabama.
Dude, Buchner
My
even
money's
play
on
at
Ty
Notre
Simpson.
Dame.
Buchner couldn't even play at
No,
Notre
I
Dame.
put my
And
money
here's
on
the
Ty
thing. I mean, half of Texas's battle is not even going to be against Alabama, the team. It's going to be against the refs. I mean,
Well, here's my thing. I said earlier I feel like Texas is coming. They're on their way back. But there is no way that I'm picking them to win out of Alabama. That's just
No, and
insane.
I actually agree with Jay because the argument you guys are making, Brody, is a little bit asinine considering I can name you 5 or 6 times that Alabama was in the national title game with mediocre quarterbacks.
okay,
Greg McElroy.
and
Average.
Okay, but
Okay, hey, wait, I'm not done yet. McCarron.
so what's wrong with
Average.
our argument? What's wrong with our argument?
You're saying it's all about quarterback. It's not there.
It's not all about quarterback.
They got 5 stars all over the field, bro.
Has Quinn Ewers ever
So
played
does
on the
Texas.
road
Okay.
environment like that?
And last year with Alabama, you take Bryce Young off that team, they're probably winning 7-8 games.
At max.
Who has a better wide
I
receiver?
agree with that.
Texas or Alabama?
Texas has the
does.
best wide receiver room in the country, in my opinion.
Maybe
It-
not very
And
well.
I never got to finish what I said
Yeah,
because
them
if
are-
you guys remember, I said K-State's going to be playing OU in the Big 12 championship game. So that means something happened. Texas is going to start off hot.
You're saying Texas losing twice.
They're gonna fall
Oh,
off.
I think they're going to lose.
But
more
they're
than-
going to win at Bama.
Yes, I think they're going to win at
Oh,
Bama.
my God.
You're
They're
saying
going to be on top of
they're
the world. Texas is back. Put it on the billboard. Put it on Empire State Building. Texas is back. They're going to get the
Well,
schedule's
wait.
going to fall apart.
after OU beats them,
After
you're saying
OU
things are
loses,
gonna
yeah.
after
I
they beat
completely
or
Brand
lose to
Venables
OU,
is going to become
they're gonna
Steve
fall apart.
Sarkisian's daddy.
Well, that's classic Texas right there to fall off a cliff. But I'm saying if they beat Bama, some people will not be able to log into Twitter for a couple of weeks because of how Texas is
At least it would get away from the 49-0
It would.
for a bit.
I don't see it, guys.
I don't see it either.
I know you don't see it.
I think that they could win by 2 touchdowns.
I don't know about that. It's going to be a night game at Bryant-Denny Stadium. Tough environment. I do think they swing by them.
Is that game already? They already did the
Yeah,
schedule time.
Kirk Herbstreit, Chris Fowler.
Well, and also the biggest question about Texas is their offensive line. So if their offensive line can hold up, I think they could be a college playoff contender. Texas.
Who-
I wouldn't go that far. No.
Who has a better shot at making the playoffs? Oklahoma or USC?
USC.
USC does.
USC.
That schedule's so weak.
USC.
Caleb Williams guaranteed it.
Oh,
You
wait.
saw that.
Yeah.
Did you see the highlights of them practicing?
I don't
and
think
tackling
they're
drills?
tackles.
Oh my
Hey,
gosh!
I
I don't watch that. The best thing was when Bookie was like, "Huh."
Yeah.
He's a
Hey,
coach.
he's like, hey,
a guy missed a tackle. He's like, "Let's go." I'm
Hey,
like,
OU's schedule might be easier than USC's.
No.
Yeah.
I would
USC,
agree.
I think they have Utah and Oregon this year.
At Colorado, at Notre Dame, versus Utah, at Oregon versus UCLA.
Yeah,
Here's my thing. I
That's a
think
tougher schedule.
they're going to beat San Jose State. They're going to beat Nevada. They're going to beat Stanford. They could lose at Arizona State. That wouldn't shock me. They'll beat Colorado. They'll beat Arizona. But once they get to that stretch of Notre Dame, Utah, then you have Oregon and UCLA at the end of the schedule.
And then you got the-
then you got the
you gotta win
championship
another
game,
one in the-
which
Well, they also
Utah
have
owns
Washington too.
and
They also have
Washington is a good team as well. And classic Lincoln Riley would be slipping up against a Stanford or an Arizona State. So you really never know
Hold on.
how it's going to go.
Or what if USC's only loss this year is to Colorado? How funny would
Well, they better if they want to make the playoff. It better be this year because it's Lincoln's last year in USC.
Yeah.
He's
Caleb
gone.
leaves. I think Lincoln's out.
Where's he
Lincoln's
going?
to Dallas.
NFL. He's going in.
Matt McCarthy.
That's
That's
my
Oh,
prediction.
yeah. You
That's
guys-
my prediction.
You guys are going to be Lincoln fans again.
Would you be
No.
a Cowboys fan if they hired Lincoln Riley?
I'd be a Cowboys fan.
Yeah, I'd be a Cowboys
Oh,
fan.
I would still
Wow.
like the Cowboys.
Wow.
Wow.
You love Lincoln. You would be kissing up to
I
him.
mean,
Have you seen Lincoln's lookalike? There's a guy that looks
Well,
just like Lincoln.
There's-
Scotty McCreary.
The country singer?
Yes,
I
it's
remember-
Lincoln freaking Riley, bro.
Lincoln had him tearing up one day.
Hey, can you
When
get
you
a
left.
picture?
You were
Hey, Brody, pull us up a picture of Scotty McCreary. Let's look at this doppelganger. Pull it
German
up.
Jay are going to be crawling back to that dry brisket of Lincoln Riley.
Oh, well, yeah.
Let's get it on the screen.
It's Lincoln Riley, bro.
No.
Oh
I
my!
mean,
How can you not say he doesn't look like him? Jay, you obviously
Right.
don't know then, because
Do you guys think there's any way that Caleb Williams doesn't win the Heisman this
you
year?
need to put Lincoln next to him. That does not look like Lincoln.
First of all, someone
put
winning
a
the
visor on
Heisman.
that guy.
That hasn't happened since 1970.
Caleb Williams will not win the Heisman this year.
Who do you think it'll be? Drake May?
You know what? Drake May,
Guys.
if he has a really great year
See-
and his team does good, he's a
Do you
stud.
want to know who mine is?
No,
DG.
Spencer Rattler.
No.
Spencer
Yes,
Rattler.
Spencer Rattler. I think it's gonna have a insane year. Okay, I'm on the South Carolina train. I think.
I hope
Spencer
you're right.
Rattler's
I
gonna
love
have a
Shane Beamer
monster
and what
year.
they've done.
I'm going to go Jordan Travis. FSU's going to make the college football playoff this year.
I'm with
Jordan
I-
Travis is going to have a Heisman
I agree
campaign
with that.
leading them there.
So
Guys,
who
I'm
do
gonna
you
go-
pick as your 4 playoff teams, guys? Am I wrong? You already got-
Georgia is no doubt for
Yeah,
us.
Georgia.
Yeah.
Someone who's
Georgia.
going to be the one to pick OU.
I'm actually.
Georgia-
I'll pick OU.
Georgia, Florida State, USC,
You know, OU.
and no.
Clemson.
I mean, I would
Iowa
have to
State.
say Alabama. Actually, no. I'll go with the 4th team. Will be Michigan.
Michigan.
They
I'm gonna
they
go
got
with the
Harbaugh
surprise.
suspended.
I'm going to go with the surprise.
I think
but
it might be
yeah.
4 games.
Yeah,
4
it is.
games he's suspended on. It's like the
I'm
best
not-
game is Rutgers.
I'm going to go with the surprise. I'm going to go Alabama, and I'm going to say no Georgia. Okay, I'm going out.
Oh!
Time out.
No.
Anyone who
I
has
agree,
not,
Jay. Stetson Bennett's not there.
They have a new quarterback too. Y'all are
Listen,
from Alabama.
yeah.
Carson Beck
Time
has
out.
been called the greatest quarterback. Time out. We cannot take any prediction college football related that you say with any type of.
All right, let me.
You got to look at the way. If anyone listened to the pod last year, they know the type of just, as Jeremy would say, asinine picks you were making.
Hey, all right, let me just say my top four. Can I
Upset pick.
can I say my four then?
Upset.
Can I say my four then?
Yes.
Is Rutgers are they in?
No, here's my four. Then. Here's my four.
Arkansas is gonna be one.
No.
You
let me
know,
talk.
Alabama won't
It's
be on
gonna
there.
be
this time.
Arkansas, TU,
No,
Oklahoma
I'm
State,
gonna
Iowa
say-
State.
It's tough for me to pick Alabama or Tennessee. I'm going to go Alabama. That's out of the SEC. I'm going to go Florida State. I'm going to say OU and USC. I'm going to say we're going to get an OU USC.
Oh,
title game.
Hey,
Caleb Williams.
See, guys,
OU
what we were talking about was him loving Lincoln
would
Riley.
every OU fan want that right now? Would every OU fan want that? Would they not?
I think you'd get
No,
a mixture. I think some would want it and some was like, I don't want part
What
of
you're
it.
doing right now is you're
Dude,
predicting
okay.
Lincoln Riley to make it to the national championship.
Okay,
You know
first of
how
all,
crazy.
okay.
Lincoln
Alright,
Riley
first of all,
cannot
I
It
can
would be
tell
a
you-
rush 3 drop 8 kind of game.
hey, I can tell you that game would be 80% OU fans, and Lincoln Riley would get hell from our fans. There'd be stuff.
He
thrown
got
on
hell
the
after Taylor
field.
Tatum committed to OU. Did you see
Oh,
all that?
well, he would get it in
What's his
person
name?
instead of on Twitter.
What's his name? The journalist who has
Oh,
the sources.
Scott
The
Schrader.
one with the
Yeah.
sources, Scott Schrader.
I'm not going to pick USC. They are not making the college football playoff this year. They're going to lose at least 2 games. If they even make the Pac-12 championship, they're not going to win.
If it was OU USC in the national championship game, would you buy tickets at Houston? If that's where it's at, it says.
It'd be too expensive.
Yeah,
Probably.
it's going to be an expensive game to go to with those 2 rivals playing for the first time in what, 19 years?
Yeah.
I think
Since
he predicted
2004?
this game, that to be the championship game last year.
Last
too.
year, yeah. I'm not very good on predictions, guys. I'm just telling you what I would like.
All right, I'll go Georgia, Florida State, Ohio State, OU. OU should make the college football playoff this year. There's no reason they shouldn't go 13-0 through the schedule. They have pretty much 6, maybe 7 non-conference level of games this year. The rest, really, the only game on that schedule is Texas, which you never know what's going to happen. Dallas, Texas, on the 1st or 2nd Saturday of October.
Yeah. Yep.
Anything else, guys?
About
Did
that.
this cover it for tonight? Today?
Yeah.
Sorry, what's it matter tonight or today, whatever. So make sure you subscribe to the channel, guys. And I don't know when we're all going to be together again. This is kind of the first time we've ever done it in person. We'll see how it kind of turns out. I don't know.
Probably during the regular season.
Yeah, we'll do it during regular season. So
Maybe Tulsa week. I
Tulsa
know
week.
you guys got your tickets.
got our tickets. You got
Where,
yours.
hey, where y'all at? Y'all got your tickets yet?
Yes, sir. I'm getting them on Friday.
Hey, that's a great deal. The $55.
Yeah, $55. Before
3
this
games.
past weekend, I was looking and it was $100
Just
just
for
for the OU game. So they put out that mini plan, $55. You get 2 other games if you want to go to that as well.
Sell the tickets.
You know,
All right, guys. Don't forget to subscribe. And until next time, Boomer.
Boomer.